Constructing Identities in Talk, Discursive Approaches to Race and Migration Part 2. PSY4030 Introduction to Psychology. Social Psychology at BCU. Dr. Sam Parker Samuel.Parker@bcu.ac.uk. Overview. Part 1. Constructing Identities in Conversation. Masculine and feminine identities, national identities. Prejudicial talk. The norm against prejudice. Part 2. My own research looking at talk about and by refugees. Part 1 Reminder. By studying talk we see the often contradictory identities that people construct in everyday conversations. Subject positions, how we position ourselves and others in talk. Examples, masculinity and femininity. The norm against prejudice and denying prejudice in talk. My own research. Talk about and by refugees and asylum seekers. A note on terminology. Refugee. A person who is outside his/her country of nationality or habitual residence, has a well-founded fear of persecution because of his/her race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group or political opinion, and is unable or unwilling to avail himself/herself of the protection of that country, or to return there, for fear of persecution. 1951 United Nations Convention relating to the status of refugees. Asylum seeker. A person who has crossed an international border in search of protection, but whose claim for refugee status has not yet been decided. Castles and Miller, 2009. Source: https://www.unca.org/figures-at-glance.html. My own research. Asylum seekers and refugees in the media. Research by social psychologists, discursive psychologists and in linguistics reveals that the media use common discursive constructions, ways of talking, in reports about asylum seekers. Much of the work has been carried out in the UK and Australia. Key finding has been use of water and disaster metaphors in reporting on asylum seekers and refugees. Pickering 2001, Baker and McKenna 2005, Baker et al. 2008, Gabrielatos and Baker 2008, Kos-Ravinic 2009, Parker 2015. For example, swamps, floods, tides, overflowing. Idea of the nation as a container. Influxes, waves, floods, metaphors of water in media reporting on refugees. Large body of discursive research showing that newspaper reporting about refugees and asylum seekers relies on metaphors of water, for example Pickering 2001, Gabrielatos and Baker 2008, Kos-Ravinic 2009. Metaphor equals a figure of speech used to refer to something not literally identified by means of similarities between it and the thing which is explicitly mentioned. Metaphors can be politically persuasive. Here the authors employ them to draw upon common sense understandings of the natural properties of water. Too much water equals need for control. Influxes, waves, floods, metaphors of water in media reporting on refugees. Parker, 2015. The scheme has been operating for about 18 months as the flood of Middle Eastern boat arrivals has filled and overflowed detention centers, now the subject of a third report condemning living conditions. The Age, the 24th of June, 2001. What does this achieve in terms of social action? Pickering, 2001, p.169. Use of metaphors constructs refugees and asylum seekers as not only a problem population, but also a deviant population. Action: strong state required to regulate the problem, preferably keeping the problem out. Deviant criminals, the construction of the dangerous refugee. Parker, 2015, Pickering, 2001, El Rifai, 2001, Metaphors of Criminals. Tear gas and water cannons were used by police to control about 300 asylum seekers who were attacking the perimeter fence with weapons about 9 p.m. last night. The Daily Telegraph, the 20th of December, 2001 from Parker, 2015, 6p. The terms tear gas, water cannons and perimeter fence position the asylum seekers as criminals and a threat which needs to be controlled. The use of the verb attack adds further to the criminal constructions used and emphasizes that the asylum seekers were active in this disturbance. In contrast, the police are constructed in a passive manner. May legitimize the Australian government's policy of detaining all asylum seekers. Deviant criminals, the construction of the dangerous refugee. Pickering, 2001, p. 175. Constructions of deviancy, legality and illegality, have consistently been more concerned with casting genuine refugees in opposition to the bogus and the phony. Genuine refugees are positioned as those who have claimed refugee status before entering Australia, and bogus refugees are positioned as those who have arrived in Australia, by whatever means, and applied for asylum there. Pickering suggests that the very act of being present without prior refugee status is portrayed as an aggressive deviant act against the nation-state that is inherently illegal. Refugees and asylum seekers' voices generally absent from media reporting. A crisis for who? Has the refugee crisis changed media talk about refugees? The power of images, the case of Alan Kurdi. Warning: the next slide contains upsetting images. The power of images, the case of Alan Kurdi. The power of images, the case of Alan Kurdi. Goodman et al. 2017, Change from Migrant Crisis to Refugee Crisis in Media Reporting in the Days Following Publication of the Photographs. Parker et al. 2018, 25p, Comparative Study of Australian, Norwegian and UK media reports before and after publication of the photographs. Change in use of categories led to a change in the category use from the more negative migrant to the more positive and deserving refugee in all three countries' media. Before the publication of the photos, a focus on Europe's crisis rather than a crisis for those who are trying to reach Europe, problematic because it creates a discourse in which security and border protection takes precedence over the welfare of refugees. Change in agency of refugees, generally lacking agency, and where they were given agency this was shown in negative terms which threatened borders and state security. Short-lived change. Why do categories matter? Goodman, Sarai and McMahon, 2017. Analysis of media reports of the refugee crisis in 2015. First reference to a crisis in March 2015. Why do categories matter? Goodman, Sarai and McMahon, 2017. Refugees equals deserving of support, a moral category, vulnerability, people in need of support. Asylum seekers, migrants, economic migrants, illegal migrants equals undeserving of support, immoral categories. Burdens disputing claimed identities and motivations for migration danger /threat. Why do categories matter? A threat to be controlled and prevented from entering Europe. A threat to the UK that needs to be controlled. Migrants needed to be excluded from Europe. More sympathetic category use equals people in need of support. Return to notion of threat. English Channel crossings. Parker, Bennett, Cobden and Earnshaw, 2021. A more recent phenomenon of boats crossing the English Channel, a new migrant crisis. Analysis of UK newspaper articles from 2019. Identified 3 interpretative repertoires used in news media reporting. Smuggling is immoral. Secure the borders. Desperate people. Shows contradictory ways the topic can be spoken about. What happens to asylum seekers when they come to the UK? Because a lot of research is about refugees and asylum seekers, I wanted to find out how refugees and asylum seekers themselves spoke about their own experiences. How do they talk about integration? In the same way that the media talks about them. In the same way that research and political talk suggests people integrate. Cultural psychology pays particular attention to these sorts of questions. Acculturation theory. Acculturation theory. Model of acculturation strategies, Berry, 2005, p.705. Acculturation theory. Model of acculturation strategies, Berry, 2005, p.705. Berry's model predicts that the acculturating individual could choose one of 4 strategies depending on the degree to which they wish to maintain their cultural heritage and seek relationships amongst other cultural groups. Integration is the preferred acculturation strategy, and it appears to be a consistent predictor of more positive outcomes than the 3 alternatives. Berry and Sam, 1997, p.318. Berry et al. 2006, completed a wide-ranging study of over 5,000 immigrant youths who had settled in 13 different countries. Cluster analysis revealed that the highest proportion of respondents, 36.5%, fell within the integration cluster, making this the preferred acculturation strategy among individuals, followed by separation and then assimilation and marginalization. Acculturation theory. Model of acculturation strategies, Berry, 2005, p.705. But, ability for acculturating individual to choose their acculturation strategy highly dependent upon strategy of the larger society. Berry highlights that integration and assimilation are not the same thing but are often conflated / confused. Integration the best strategy for reducing acculturative stress, marginalization the most stressful but again dependent on strategy of larger society. Berry's model is fixed, invariant and apolitical, Bottier and Ram, 2009, p. 140. They instead propose that negotiation with multiple cultural sites is fluid, dynamic, interminable and often unstable. The acculturation journey is not a teleological trajectory that has a fixed end point but instead has to be continuously negotiated. 2009, p.148. Difficulties in studying acculturation. A number of factors likely influence the acculturation process. Cultures vary, sometimes drastically, from each other. What factors are important? Different reasons for moving. To flee a war. To be closer to family. To get better jobs. To study. Individual differences between people. People have different personalities, goals, etc. 25. 26. Time. Acculturation curve stage 1. Honeymoon stage. Positive feelings toward host culture. Excited, meeting new people, new experiences. What often happens when you travel for fun? 27. Acculturation curve stage 2. Crisis stage. Negative feelings toward host culture. Frustration, limited language skills, lack understanding of how culture works, miss people and favorite foods. Culture shock, feeling helpless, anxious, irritable, and homesick. 28. Acculturation curve stage 3. Adjustment stage. Positive feelings toward host culture. Function better in host culture, making friends, better at language, thinking and acting like the locals. 29. My own research. Interviews with 19 refugees and asylum seekers living in Wales, qualitative approach. 8 female and 11 male participants. From 13 different countries: Iran, Sudan, Syria, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, Iraq, Chechnya, Pakistan, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Egypt. Interviews lasted for between 15 and 70 minutes. Questions about integration in the UK. 1. Constructing incidents of discrimination as trivial. 1. Sam, you've not had any problems, with any people. 2. Munir, never, I don't find any. 3. Sam, no. 4. Munir, sometimes you see in the evening some guys. 5. Or, some young guys, it's up to the just playing. 6. With everybody, not equals. 7. Sam, yeah. 8. Munir, especially asylum, but 0.5, no problem for us. 9. Sam, yeah. 10. Munir, but from the adults and I don't find any problem. 11. Sam, okay. 12. Munir, they sometimes help us, yeah they are. 13. Very kind with us, I don't find any problem. 2. Banal hidden forms of everyday racism. 1. Sam, have you experienced any, 2. Prejudice or racism discrimination. 3. Chris, not as yet. 4. Sam, no. 5. Chris, not as yet, yeah, every place I've 6. Gone to like yeah. 7. You meet different people, you know people behave differently. 9. But at least with racism I haven't found. 10. That yeah. 11. Sam, good. 12. Chris, somebody might not talk to you. 13. Sam, yeah. 14. Chris, but he hasn't mentioned anyone any. 15. Anything to do with the color or something. 16. So yeah, you can sense what it is, but 17. At least nobody has spoken to that, or nobody. 18. Has turned me down because of my color. 19. Or anything. 3. Just eating and sleeping. 1. Sam, yeah, so you feel 1.0 that because of the 2. Asylum process you're not be able to do. 3. Much. 4. Munir, just waiting, it's very difficult to just. 5. Waiting and you can't do anything, 0.5, the 6. Problem, is, when you waiting until they 7. Decide your claim, we can't do anything. 8. Just volunteer, and I'm happy to open. 9. This way of volunteer, it's 10. Give you feeling that you're working and you 11. Doing the thing people hear, many people 12. Know them, here they are, feeling we are. 13. Nothing, we are not exist. 14. Sam, millimeter home. 15. Munir, it's very important, just eating and sleeping, 16. That's all, and sometimes going to learn. 17. Some, courses. 18. Sam, yeah. 19. Munir, yeah, to open this way it's very good, and 20. We have the right, I think, to go to college, 21. To college, to learn some English. 4. I can't do nothing, restriction. 1. Sam, how does that make you feel? 2. Baja, it's just a helpless situation because you are. 3. Depending, you are seeking peace from them. 4. And you are asking for giving you a secure 5 place, and in return of that they are asking you 6. To follow their rules, not follow their rules they 7. Are just implementing their rules on you 8. Have to eat at that time, you have to go to bed 9. At that time you have to get back to the dining 10. Area on that time, so it's like the difficult thing 11. Sam, hum 12. Baja, people have different routines but to seek 13. Peace, to get to a secure life you need to 14. Follow whatever they are saying to you and 15. Like with me, I got a good house but some 16. People have a really bad houses, they can't 17. Move from there 18. Sam, yeah 19. Baja, they have no option, and even if someday they 20. Can take a house from the person they 21. Have to sleep on the streets, degree just not a degree, not an 22. Independent life, it's just a life where you are 23. Alive but you have no rights for them in your 24. Own life. Summary. Generally the participants spoke positively about living in Wales, particularly about people in Wales feeling safe in Wales. But slow progress integration takes time. When they spoke negatively, it was generally when talking about Home Office, UK government, policies. Important to consider the social and political context. UK government talks of wanting to integrate refugees but to discourage asylum seekers from coming to the UK seems paradoxical. Key references: Berry, J.W. 2005. Acculturation, Living Successfully in Two Cultures. International Journal of Intercultural Relations, 29, 6, 697-712. Gabrielatos, C., and Baker, P. 2008. Fleeing, Sneaking, Flooding, A Corpus Analysis of Discursive Constructions of Refugees and Asylum Seekers in the UK Press, 1996-2005. Journal of English Linguistics, 36, 1, 5-38. Goodman, S., Sarai, A., and McMahon, S. 2017. The Evolving, Categorizations of Refugees Throughout the Refugee/Migrant Crisis. Journal of Community and Applied Social Psychology, 27, 2, 105-114. Khosravinik, M. 2010. The Representation of Refugees, Asylum Seekers and Immigrants in British Newspapers, A Critical Discourse Analysis. Journal of Language and Politics, 9, 1, 1-28. Parker, S. 2015. Unwanted Invaders, The Representation of Refugees and Asylum Seekers in the UK and Australian Print Media. E. Sharp, 23, Myth and Nation. Parker, S., Napa, A., and Goodman, S. 2018. How a photograph of a drowned refugee child turned a migrant crisis into a refugee crisis, a comparative discourse analysis. 4, E. Dialogue, 2, 1, 12-28. Parker, S., Bennett, S., Cobden, C.M., and Earnshaw, D. 2021. It's time we invested in stronger borders. Media representations of refugees crossing the English Channel by boat. Critical Discourse Studies, 1-16. Pickering, S. 2001. Common Sense and Original Deviancy, News Discourses and Asylum Seekers in Australia. Journal of Refugee Studies, 14, 2, 169-186.